Welcome back to another TERF Talk Down Under. I'm Stassja and this is Angela.
Hey, how you going?
Not too bad. How are you?
Crap.
You've been in the wars.
Broke my arm. And I'd like to say it was doing some street fighting, but it was done when I slipped on my bathroom floor. So now I'm in the wars. I'm off work for 6 weeks. I can't drive and I've got little kids. So it's been really, really tough. Yeah. So nothing better to do than keep turfing.
Yeah. And you had a bit of a nightmare experience overnight in the hospital.
Oh yeah. My arm's quite badly broken and my wrist and my arm are broken, and I had to be in a special like traction thing with my arm held up. So I was bedridden overnight in hospital. And it was pretty uncomfortable and I was pretty tired because it'd been a big day. And at about 10, 11 o'clock, I was starting to get tired, and there was because we got mixed sex wards here in Melbourne. There's 4 people to my room, 3 women, and the person next to me was a dude, and he was really loud. He had his TV blaring and all his lights on, and I really wanted to go to sleep, and I was trying to be patient, but I was wearing a bit thin. Anyway, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, he finally got the hint, because I was like, every time he'd flicker his lights, I could be going, oh, good, and at about 1 o'clock in the morning, he got the hint, he turned his lights off, and then he started snoring. And I'm not talking snoring like, I'm talking like really, really bad sleep apnea, like warthog, like really, really loud, so loud that the nurses in the nurses station, which was probably about 20 meters away, could hear him. And they're all coming in, and I said, look, I can't deal with this. Snoring's one thing, but this is next level. And she said, oh, look, I'm really sorry, And then he was going, because he was stopping breathing and then making a really loud noise. So there wasn't that rhythm when someone snores that you can get into, he can just go to sleep. But that wasn't my only problem with this person. He was, loud and things, but we have like a pull around fabric privacy screen. And out of all the people in there, he was the only one who wouldn't close his privacy screen. So we had to, if we were to walk to the unisex toilet, which is opposite my section, we had to walk past him in, kind of not undressed, but not properly dressed. And it was awkward. It was really awkward and uncomfortable, particularly because I'm 5 foot nothing and that hospital gown on me doesn't cover my ass. So, I feel a bit vulnerable that if I move the wrong way with my arm stuck up on a hook, that my pants, that my bum's going to fall out. So it was just really awful, awkward, horrible, horrible feeling. Now, this man was a man, and he identified as such. And I was angry because I hadn't slept and I was tired. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I sent off a tweet on Twitter saying, the guy next to me, blah, blah, blah. I'm in hospital and haven't slept, and, I just want him to get transferred out of here. And all the people in England where they still have single sex wards were like freaking out, going, what, you've got men in your hospital wards? And I'm like, well, yeah, that came in about 15 years ago. Nobody was consulted. It just happened. We just started going to hospital and finding we're in mixed sex wards. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And when he left the next morning and I got an hour and a half sleep, I asked all the other women in the room, I said, oh, did you hear him last night? Of course they did. And they go, yeah, we heard you telling him to be quiet. And then the nurses came in and said, oh, look, we're really sorry. There's nothing we can do about it. So everyone in that room was inconvenienced by this bloke, and everyone had to suck it up. Now, because he's a man, if we feel uncomfortable, then we can say, oh, look, he's making us uncomfortable. And, if it crosses a certain imaginary line, then they'll generally do something about it. But if he identified as a woman, we'd have no hope. We'd have absolutely no hope of moving him if he was inappropriate, of even bringing attention to him. Would be accused of being bigots probably. And it was a real eye-opener to what is happening here in Melbourne, where there are men in our spaces. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. And we're all united on that. And I'm sure people that I spoke to that day would have been, trans women are women, yada, yada. But they would have been uncomfortable in that situation. And this is what I have found in all the single sex spaces that I've had men turn up since self-ID came in. So that's, you know, that would be 3 trans-identifying men who've turned up in single-sex spaces when I've been present, 3 different ones. Everyone in that room, regardless of how they feel about transgenderism, is uncomfortable. And so there's this thing where until it happens to you, you don't even care. You don't understand. You say, oh, they're women. But it's different when they're in the bed next to you. It's different when they're in the crisis service next to you. It's different when they're in the change room with their pants down next to you. And I don't understand why, particularly women, but everyone can't put themselves in that position. And it's a vulnerable position. Like, I was vulnerable with my arm hanging from a hook.
Yep.
Didn't move.
Yeah.
If he had got angry because I told him to shut up, I would have been in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so no, it was horrible. It was yuck and spooky.
Yep. It's a dangerous situation, and it makes me think also of psych wards. In psych wards, the building is sort of divided into a male wing and a female wing.
Not anymore.
And not anymore. There was definitely a story on noconflicttheysaid.org where, a woman described having a trans woman put in a room on her wing of the building, and, you know, she was terrified that something could happen in the middle of the night, and it could. Like, especially when you're dealing with people that might be in a psychosis, and they've lost the ability to tell what's right and wrong, and they might come in and do something. Like, so dangerous. And I know that women working as consumer consultants, which is sort of like a patient advocacy role in mental health, have been screaming out for the last 20, 30 years to have completely separate male and female wings, because, in the midst of a psychosis, you can completely lose your bearings and think that you're there to mate with someone and end up in all sorts of sexual encounters that you wouldn't experience, you wouldn't enter into if you were of sound of mind. So, like, I just think hospitals and prisons, we really do need single-sex spaces.
Aged care homes as well. I actually knew a man who worked in a psychiatric ward here in Melbourne who had intimate relationships with the women who came in as clients. He's a peer support worker, and I knew him personally. And when I found out what he was doing, I was not surprised at all. Just an awful, awful situation. I can't imagine anyone more vulnerable than a psychiatric patient. And this is the state of the public system. If you have money, like all the people, like all the celebrities on Twitter saying, oh, trans women are women, if you have private health cover, if you can afford private health cover, then you get a private room. So you don't have these concerns. You also usually get staff of the same sex. Another thing that happened to me in hospital, which was really pissed me off actually, because I'd injured myself after I'd got dressed, and I had a tight top on, and they had to twist my arm around. And I had a senior like bone doctor and a couple of other junior staff attending to me, and we decided what we were going to do, which was anesthetize my arm and then, twist it around and do some dodgy stuff. And and so they said, okay, do you want to keep your top, or will we cut it off? And I said, oh no, I'd like to keep it. And they said, okay, well, we'll get your top off. And 3 men just stepped towards me and started taking off my top. Now, I was in extreme pain. My arm was with them, and they just walk up and start lifting up my shirt. And I went, stop. And this is because I'm not. And I said, stop. I said, ask. You ask. There'd be women who are not comfortable with men helping them undressed, and these men were, they were from another culture, and they were like, "Oh, so sorry," and I felt bad for them because they were mortified that they'd, crossed that line, and they said, "Oh no, definitely," and we're really sorry. Now, I really appreciate that they had that response, because they may not have been so accommodating, but it was a really scary feeling. And I'm thinking back to young me at 14, when a doctor would oh, we've got to test your heart, take your shirt off. There's those times where girls and women are vulnerable, and men take advantage of that. And, you know, as those men were trying to pull my clothes off, I went back to that. I went back to those times where I was afraid to speak up, as most women, when confronted with men, are afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Most women.
Yeah.
None of the other women in my ward were yelling at the guy who was snoring because they're afraid.
Yeah.
And I was that girl too. I was that girl. I was that young woman, and I was that middle-aged woman. And now I'm an angry old woman, and I'll just stand up for myself and all the other women.
Yeah.
It's an awful thing. And this is what men are doing. So men who are pretending to be women, we say, well, I'm a woman. What are you talking about? Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. There was an article in the UK Daily Mail last week about, I think it was a sexual assault support group, and a man showed up. Had short hair, dressed like a man, 6 foot tall, made zero attempts to appear as a woman, and they just let him into the group. And, you know, I bet you 50, but well, I don't know. But, you know, there's a high chance that when he got home that night, he's masturbating to the stories that these women were telling about being raped and abused.
Well, most women don't share their stories. In the groups where I've been, where there's been a biological male present who presents as a woman, we edit our stories. We all edit our stories, or people like me go, don't talk about your rape and things like that, because of that risk that man will get off on it. So yes. Either people talk and there's that discomfort where you're going, oh God, because you wouldn't say this stuff in front of a normal bloke. So why would you say it in front of someone who looks like a bloke who says he's a woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a guest. She's in the waiting room. I'm going to bring her in. Today we're chatting with Kaz, who is used to play roller derby up on the Gold Coast here in Australia, and things got heated. I'll let her tell her story. But she's no longer playing roller derby as a result of men who think they're women playing in women's sports.
Not good.
Okay. Can you hear us? We can see you.
Hello.
I have no sound. Hang on.
We can hear you.
Oh dear. Well, just while Kaz is sorting out her audio, I'm just going to flick to something else on my screen and read this out. This is a new law that's just passed in Victoria. It's called the Windfall Gains Tax and State Taxation and Other Acts Further Amendment Act 2021. Which is quite a mouthful, but they've included this little section about land tax for private gender exclusive clubs. I'll read this out. The Land Tax Act 2005 has been amended to remove the land tax exemption for not-for-profit club land from private gender exclusive and gender restrictive clubs from the 2022 land tax year. So essentially what this means is if you are a sports club and you're running as a not-for-profit and you don't include people with a gender identity, you will have to pay more tax on the land that you own.
So like the nuns who run the women's retreat up here near where I live and own their own 100 acres will have to pay land tax because they exclude men.
That's a good one. I bet that would be a religious exemption, I'm sure, but
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I can think of a bunch of groups. So we're trying to get a domestic violence service going out where I live. I wonder if we, someone owns the property that we run our service on, whether they will have to pay extra.
Yeah.
Because we will be a single sex service.
Kaz, can you hear us yet?
Yep, I can.
Oh, good.
Hear you.
You're right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me all right?
We
Yeah.
can hear you, yeah.
Oh, thank God for that. I was trying to set everything up earlier and I was like, oh my God, no, it's working. I'm so glad. Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Welcome. Now,
Look how tropical it looks where you
My
are.
internet's rubbish. I know, and I'm just going to have to move because my internet is terrible. So just give me a sec.
okay,
We're
thanks.
not on, are we now?
I love this tech stuff. I love it.
No, I'm an absolute IT mong. So
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
So, you know, my husband's not here to fix it if it all goes tits up. We'll just see how we get on. Right, let's find a nice backdrop. Oh, I think
A nice backdrop. That's the challenge in my house.
So you're on the Gold Coast, Kaz?
no, Brisbane. So just south of Brisbane.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, right. So I thought we could start with maybe tell us a bit about. You're fine.
Bit low.
Just tell us a bit about, like, when did you join roller derby? What drew you to roller derby, and how long were you playing for?
I tell you, the whole story is I've skated since I was little, but you know, I gave it up when I was like 12 and it became uncool in the 90s. Nobody skates anymore. Yep. So I dropped it, but then I came to Australia 10 years ago and Whippet came on the telly and I was like, Christ, I'd love to do that. So my husband got me some skates and some pads and I started skating again and I found a local team and I whizzed through all the tests and and I moved to the Northern Beaches, their team, the Sirens, and I've moved around, but played for 6 years. Then I quit 2 years ago, and then I came back beginning of this year. Well, end of the year before, and then that's when everything went tits up for me. Yeah. So
And
it's a hard subject, but
yeah, thanks for talking about
I'm here.
How did it
That's
start?
right.
What happened?
So what happened was just, you know, how all these things happen, I suppose. There was an article on Lad Bible about Hannah Mouncey, this 6 foot, 250 pound bloke, frigging brick shit house with what looked like a crap blonde wig, tits and a floral dress, saying, Hannah Mouncey is suing the NFL because they won't allow her to play in the women's league. And I mean, I've just seen it and I was not involved in anything gender critical, nothing about that. I just got on with my life and my job, my kids, everything. And I just put a comment on there saying, well, that's ridiculous. He's built like a brick shit house. He's going to plow them women down and kill somebody. Men shouldn't be allowed to play women's sports. It's ridiculous. Yep. And it was a former person I used to play against roller derby just put, I can't believe you're saying this. That's disgusting. Does your current team know that you think like this? And I was like, what are you on about? Think like what? Well, you've played against loads of transgender people and all that. I went, no, I haven't. She went, I can guarantee you have. And it went on. And I was like, well, if I have, nobody asked my permission. Nobody said to me, there's a guy on the other team. Are you all right playing against him? Because I'd have said, no, I'm frigging well not, because I joined a women's team and I want to play in women's sport. That's where I do. Because, you know, I come from a sporting world. I've played sport all my life. And my husband is 6'7" and he is 110 kilos. And I think he weighs less than that bloke. And if my husband decided to just give me a good push to the chest, I'm down and I'm probably injured and with all sorts of injuries. So absolutely no. And I don't even care about skinny men, because men, as soon as they hit puberty, I've got a 13-year-old son, 13. He is 5'9" and he weighs more than me. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Even him, I'm going to struggle against him. And he doesn't do any weightlifting. He doesn't do nothing, just natural muscle going through puberty. He's going to knock me out and I've got to watch myself. So that's where it was. And this girl was just abusing me and threatening me. She's threatening to tell my team how disgusting I am, how transphobic I am. And I was like, yeah, I don't want this. So I deleted it. And I made that mistake because I'd never I'd never reported anybody on Facebook before then, never reported anybody, never done anything. I just thought, I don't want this. This is awful. This is from a girl that I knew quite well, and I just didn't want it. So I just deleted it. And then it was about a week later, it was Australia Day. I was round at a friend who were getting drunk, and I got an email from my roller derby team, from the president, and it said, Patch, that's my roller derby name, events have come to light that you have made comments about transgenders, and it goes against our group policy, and you will be removed from the team. All membership will be paid back, and that's the end of it. I'm not kidding. I was stunned. I was like, what? I mean, and I emailed a big long email, pissed as well. That was the wrong thing to do, but my God, I was angry. But I was like, what you on about? My email could have been hacked. What are these accusations? What's happened? They sent me some little screenshots. So the girl had sent little screenshots of things I'd said, taken it all out of context, just little snippets, and sent them. None of the stuff where she said, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, all these, just these little snippets. And that was it, really. They came back saying, no, this is our rule, and that's it. And this is where I became involved in all these happenings. This is the world I'm in now that I didn't know existed. I was just one of them women that flounces through lives, not knowing that there's a problem out there, and my God, there's a problem. And this is where I am today. And that's why I'm joining you lovely ladies.
Thanks for coming on.
That's why you invited me on.
So, did you have any option to appeal at all?
I did, yeah. That was it. Would you like, you can appeal if you want. So I did appeal, and I said, yeah. It's these are my beliefs. I have a belief in biology. So yeah, and then they came back saying, nah, no good. No, you've gone against all our policies. Now that's it, gone. So they closed it. That was it. It's closed. But I did put in a grievance. I put in an actual grievance to the saying I am angry about this, all this. But it's like a week later, on their actual official page, they put up a statement. Sorry, I'm just going to get my dog. She's just going nuts. I'm so sorry. She's going nuts.
This is one of those, cancellations that
yes, it was.
We wouldn't otherwise hear about, right?
Oh God, yeah. And I didn't even know about cancellations. This beginning of this year, and suddenly it's absolutely mental. But so they put up a post saying that a recent issue has come to light where we've had to let one of our members go because of her transphobic beliefs, all this shit. It just went on. It went on. And I went, and I put in, and the people coming on saying, well done, thank you for supporting us. This is great. You've done great work. Wow. And then I just put in the post, wow, a fellow sportswoman knows the difference between biology and the safety and unfairness in sport. Where did all the feminists go? And that was it. That's all I said. And then I was attacked. The whole entire roller derby community around Australia, and in America as well, because they all support Sun State. It's quite a big roller derby league up here in Queensland. They just attacked me. People I knew, I've known for years, and people I haven't known. How can that, from that statement, because they don't know the ins and outs. If they do, that's a breach of Sun State releasing what I said and all that crap. So all I had was that a female sports person knows the difference between biology. And then they started calling me a TERF. Never heard that term before, had to look it up. I don't know what the friggin' TERF is. And then you are inciting suicide. You are causing murders. You are absolute drivel. And I'm not kidding. It went on for 2 days, and it was just a barrage. I was just getting notification after notification after I was getting private messaged. I was getting private message from friends asking me if I'm all right because of some of the comments. It was awful. I was in tears. My chest ached. I felt wretched. I felt violated. I'd never been the source of so much hatred from a group of people who I thought were all about feminism, supporting women. It was awful, and I've never cried so much. And yeah,
How awful.
that's how my year, that's how 2021 started for me. That was January, end of January.
And what did your family say? Your husband, what did they have to say about it?
We were me and my friends at the time, and they were what you can't say anything you want. Why can't you say that? It's just absolutely normal statement. I mean, fair enough. In the original post, I probably said, brick shit house, this guy would fuck things up, and no, men should not play in sports there. You know, I probably said all those things. But you know, it came down to what we all think. Yeah. Men are men, women are women, and they're segregated in sports for very good reasons, as the world knows. But all my family supported me, my husband, my friends. I had loads of people contact me, and even people from roller derby saying, look, I can't support you publicly because they will throw me out of the team.
I was going to ask that. Did you get many messages like that?
Yeah, about 3 or 4, because a friend of mine said to me, look, you're gonna have to be careful. They're gonna stalk you. They're gonna people you don't know. So I would block everybody that you can. And I did. I went through everybody I've ever met through roller derby, and it was about 200 people, and I had to get rid of them and I had to block them. And these were people I knew really well. But about 3 of them that I'd got rid of and blocked got hold of me and said, are you okay? I can't get hold of you on Facebook. And then I reinstated them and we started talking. And they were like, oh God, I can't believe that's happened to you. That's awful. I totally support you. But yeah, again, I can't speak about it publicly because I'm going to lose my place in roller derby because you have. So I'm not safe. And that was it. I couldn't believe that world existed where I can have an opinion and my God, I am just crippled. It's crippled me. This whole thing it's destroyed me. It has. Roller derby was a massive part of my life. And you know, I gave up a lot of weekends. My kids were younger 6 years ago when I started this. I had to take them to training with me. I had to cancel some. I couldn't go to training sometimes. I couldn't go to games sometimes because I had the kids, husband was away, all these things. Because we're in Australia, we don't have any family here. That was it. So I gave up a lot of time to roller derby. I gave up a lot of injuries, you know, a lot of my bloody physical body. I'm on ibuprofen every day because of bloody roller derby injuries. So I gave a lot to that sport. And this is where I am now. I completely lost that community. That is a massive community and it's dead to me. It's gone because... What
is it about roller derby? How have they been so taken by this ideology?
I've got no idea because I don't know if you know much about roller derby, but they're massive at Pride because obviously, you know, it's one of those, it's a girl sport. It's very touchy-feely. It's aggressive. It's aggressive. And it absolutely does advertise for the lesbian community. They love it. And you know, you don't have to be lesbian, but it's very big lesbian community because I think they feel like they're part of it. We had this whole wearing fishnets and hot pants and nobody gives a shit and everybody thinks it's brilliant. War paint, loved it. You can't do that in rugby and soccer and things like that. So the girls loved it. The girls who like to dress up, I'm a mum with kids and I love to dress up and be this other persona. It was great. But I don't know what happened. I can't tell you what happened, why I thought when I posted that I wouldn't be safe. I can't tell you because there were loads of men playing roller derby as well in men's leagues and mixed leagues and refs. There was a lot of refs that were men and a lot of them were going out with the girls. So the girlfriends had brought them in, all this sort of thing. So I felt absolutely safe saying that. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't I? You know, it's nothing I wouldn't say to anybody, say it to my kids. But yeah, that entire community, toxic is what is that's it. It's toxic. And a lot of the people who are still my friends out of this have said the same thing. I cannot believe it. Some of those people that said some of them things, I've known them for years and I can't believe that they would say that to you. And
was there ever an option? Was there an option of taking it, say, to maybe a tribunal, an equal opportunity tribunal or something?
Yeah, well, I did. I spoke to Kath Debs. You know, she put me on. She did loads of. You know, I've chatted with her. I've chatted with Save Women's Sports. I've done all this, and I did speak to lawyers. This sort of I can't remember the company, but they give you lots of paralegal advice and where you can go. And they can only go after individuals. So the individuals that said I was a fucking TERF and I support suicide, they were the only people I could really go after.
So you couldn't try and get reinstated?
Well, so that's all that they said to me. Look, what you can do is you can write a letter to them, you can ask them to reinstate you. That's just about all you can do. And I did, and they said no. And the latest thing that was happening with me was, it's taken months. So I can't remember, back in March, it might have even been Kath that put me onto Queensland Human Rights Commission, because they've got loads of rules and that, and they actually have a rule in there that you cannot discriminate against, genders in, this, that, and the other, but there are a few cases where it's excluded, and one of them is sport, when safety and unfairness are a factor. So the Queensland Human Rights Commission supports what I said. So I've gone to them and I've asked them for help getting me back in the team and taking legal action, whatever they can do to help me. It's taken them about 7 or 8 months to come back to me and say, we believe that they're a not-for-profit organisation, therefore you haven't got a leg to stand on. Can't do anything.
I find that shocking, because it's like, well, what if it was racial discrimination that was happening? They would be jumping up and down supporting you, right?
Yeah, or if I was excluded for being a woman, but because I just said men shouldn't play sport, I don't know, it's religious discrimination on my part. It could be, they don't know, I could be heavily Christian and I'm not into any of it, but they don't know that, they didn't ask that, it doesn't matter. It says in the Queensland, and I said, I emailed them back as soon as I found out, it was this only the other day, I emailed them back saying, is there any point, because they are a not-for-profit, and it doesn't say anywhere on your website, none of these rules apply to not-for-profit, so don't bother. And it's like, it's a caveat, if you're a not-for-profit, you don't have to follow the Human Rights Commission rules. So what are the frigging point in them? So I'm waiting to hear from them, but it took 8 months to get that A4 letter back from them saying can't really help you, but if you would like to pursue legal, we'll assist you where we can. That's it, basically. So I waited all those months for that. Yeah, and you'd be up for barrister costs and the emotional toll. It's not. You'd have to be built of something pretty strong to endure that for months, right. Possibly years. Yeah, absolutely. Thousands of dollars. I mean, I know that they're insured for a couple of million at Sun State. I've seen the policy, against injury and all this other sort of stuff. So they're insured. They're insured against their mistakes and things that go wrong. To me, this is a mistake, saying that they won't support women. Fellow women, you don't have a voice. It's not that you can't say what you want. I don't believe you can say what you want. If it's hurtful and it's harmful, and you can't say what you want. But when you're stating out just actual facts, human biological facts, apparently you're cancelled for that. And I don't think Hannah Mouncey would be too offended by being told that he's built like a brick shit house, because he is. And I think he'd look. Yeah. I mean, look at it. He played handball, right? He played handball with the women. That's what he did. And he was his team were winning left, right, and centre. He was knocking the shit out of women. So then he thought, this isn't good enough for me. I need NFL. I need TV coverage, and I'm going to get it because I'm a woman now and I have got a story. And I don't know where that story lies now. And to be fair, I don't care. I never did care. It was a throwaway comment that I'd make about anything. See, with the Tokyo Olympics and everything else, I've commented on that. Of course I am. Openly TERF now. Didn't know what it meant before. And like you've talked about TERF. I mean, you're a TERF. I don't even know if I'm a radical I am now. I wasn't at the time, putting out I didn't even know what a feminist was. I thought feminist was just an extension of feminine, woman. It's not. It's loads of other things. And I'm teaching my kids as well, and my husband, who didn't know as well. But it's just where I am now. And, throughout this whole thing, I put on weight. I was drinking. It's COVID as well. Don't get me wrong. What other sport? Everybody kept saying, join another sport, join another sport. I don't want another sport. It was my sport. Strapping on a pair of skates and smashing the shit out of women.
Yeah.
It's what I did. It's what I loved doing. And other women loved doing it to me. And I loved getting bruised. It was what I loved doing. So I can't think of another sport I want to do. And I would have gone back. It's gone on too long now. It's just the abuse I suffered. It was just, I can't go back to that community. It's not a supportive community. It's hideous. And you can see what kind of women are in that community. You won't want anything to do with it. And I don't want to face them. I'm a tough bird. I was in the army for 7 years. I can handle some shit, but I can't handle a whole group of women hating on me for being a woman and supporting women. I support women. Women in sports should have a fair go. I support women. And I did. I said to them, why aren't you supporting women? Why are you supporting men in women's sports? It's ridiculous. That's not what we're doing. Yeah, it is what you're doing. You're eradicating women's sports. And so I'm on a path along with you now. I'll do anything. I sign everything. I donate anything, and I share things, and I'm just getting the voice out there, because I know I've got some friends on my Facebook page that don't know anything about this. They bloody well do now, because I post about it all the time. They frigging do know, and hopefully they join and support everything else. So yeah, so and you know, I've been left with depression now. I had to go see my doctor because I was putting on weight. I just didn't have the motivation to do anything. I liked my fitness, wasn't doing anything, doctor says, I think you're depressed. So I went to see the psychiatrist, chatted through him, and he told me, started at the beginning of the year, didn't it? When all this started, when you got your abuse on Facebook, and it clicked, and I cried because I didn't know why. I'm getting emotional now.
No.
I didn't know why. I felt so shit.
Yeah.
And
So
it all
sorry.
stands still.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'm on drugs now, and I'm seeing a therapist, and he tells me I'm fabulous and all that other crap. And he tells me, best advice he gave me, and I'll give it to anybody else, right? You can't change the past. You can't do anything about it. And it's not that you forget about it, but what you're going to do is, you can't go back. You'll never go back to the day that happened, the day before. You never go back. All you can do is whatever you can do with today and onwards.
Oh.
Put it in a box, but move on with it. So the freaking roller derby community, they're gone. I don't support anything that they do, because I'm not on any groups anymore. Can't be part of that community. But obviously I would love to support the girls in their conquests, trying to get it part of Olympic sports, all these other things. But I've lost the motivation to do anything with them girls. And it's sad, because some of my friends still play, and they still send me photos, and I still watch their videos, and I can't be part of it anymore.
That's awful. So sorry that this you know, the mental health aspect of this debacle is huge. Like even for me, you know, my Facebook feed is just full of it, and you know, I have to take a day or two off every now and then, just to gather myself and because it's like this mass gaslighting. You did nothing wrong. Roller derby is a sport that is so physical, and I'm sure women break bones playing just against women. So it is absolutely a sport where strength, stamina, and physique are 100% relevant. It's just mind-boggling.
I know. I mean, I have played against the guys. We had mixed teams, and you know, you've got to play up, and the guys are tough and they're hard, but they're sweaty. They're sweaty and they're handsy and they're rough. And whereas, you know, women, we're a bit handsy and everything else, but we do play with a bit of respect, and that's where it's a bit different. We play to what we can do. We don't go above and beyond. Some women have done, and they absolutely regret it, and it hurts them. Men don't play like that. Men go for it, and they forget they're playing women. They're in this mindset. So I've played against actual men, and some of these men are 6 foot. And if they decided to, I'm going to put a skirt on and be a woman, what chances have we got? There's no chances. I'm going to be injured. I'm going to be injured left, right, and centre, bruises everywhere. So yeah. So to be fair, I'm glad I'm out of it.
Do you think that their intention is to crash and bash against women? Why else would they do it?
I mean, yeah. Why other? And look, you know, I know there's some genuine men out there with mental disorder. That's what it is. It's a mental disorder. And I feel sorry for the guys who do, but there are so many that don't. They just put on a skirt and say, they've got full beard, penis, the lot. And I imagine that getting up close, it's a full contact sport. There are tits, there are hands everywhere, in asses, up crotches, it happens. And it's part of it. We brush it off and we get on because we're women, it's accidental. I think men would love a good cop of a feel, you know, because they can go, oops, forgot where I was. Forgot to where. I'm sure they could. I'm sure they don't, but they could. And again, I know there's lots of women that just don't want to play with men, don't even want to play with men in mixed teams for a scrimmage, what we call like a training session. They don't even want that because I didn't join to play with hairy, sweaty men and big men that are going to absolutely take me out and injure me in a training session. Don't want it. So that's why we join a women's team. Even the biggest, strongest, tallest woman still holds back some restraint, has some respect, and doesn't have masses of natural muscle mass that they've amounted from doing nothing. Whereas we have to train like buggers, they don't.
Yeah, you said before that there is a mixed team. So they do still get an opportunity to play against and with women and other men. So every time I've heard a story firsthand of a male, a trans-identifying male invading a women-only space, there's been a third option. There's been a unisex option, or there's been an LGBTQY option. But they want to play with, against women, and they want to invade women-only spaces, even when they have, two other options. Women have one option.
Yep.
Or unisex, which is.
No, I was going to say we don't have an option. All our options are now mixed.
Yeah, they are now.
Unisex. Everything is. There's no women's sport anymore. We've established that in everything now. Men can join women's sport. There is no women's sport anymore. And that's
I don't think people realise it. I don't think they realise the extent of it. No,
they don't. And you know what? A lot of parents as well think it's okay for having boys playing on their girls' soccer teams. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right when they're younger, but you're setting a precedence there where girls are they're inferior physically to boys. So when you've got a team of 13-year-old girls and 13-year-old boys, my son is massive. That's not in nowhere fair. And they're going to pick him for every team. The girls are going to be left. When they do picking teams, all the guys are going to go first because who doesn't want to win? Pick the big guys first. The little skinny girls sit and watch. That's where we are now.
Did you see the famous New York Marathon have opened a category for non-binaries?
What does that mean?
Who do you think won?
Oh, yeah.
It was a bloke.
It's a strapping bloke. Of course it was. It's not fair to women. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's non-binary rubbish as well. But yeah.
My story's a bit like yours, Kaz. One week I read J.K. Rowling's essay and I was like, I agree with everything she said. And then a week later, I was in a feminist group on Facebook and I said something about pregnant women. And this crazy woman starts having a go at me for using the wrong language. I should have said pregnant person. So, the more that trans activists just attack and abuse people for, stating reality, the more they send people our way to Team TERF, right?
That is true. But what I can tell you about all what's gone on with me, all women, every single one of them was a woman. I had not been attacked by a man dressed in a wig. Yeah. None of it. So it shows you how not open massive how openly massive the roller derby community is. There was no bloke attacking me. It was all women attacking me, saying I'm wrong for not saying men can play with us. That's where it was. Some of these women are mothers, and I could not believe it. And I was like, do you not support your daughter? You've got a daughter. I can't believe you feel like that you'd be okay with lads playing against your daughter. Just wait till she's older and she's competitive, like these girls who have trained their whole lives for their athletic sport. And then a boy decides he's now a girl and just takes all their scholarships and shit like that. Just wait till it affects you, then you'll care. That's where I am. But I do have a lot of support from a lot of mums of boys as well, because they just don't want to see it.
What about the roller derby men? Did any of them reach out to you or anything like that?
No.
I wonder what's going through their minds. Like,
They don't care.
They don't care. I don't think they care. And, you know, I've got to admit, like, a lot of the men, all the men were all married or straight or going out with the girls. They didn't care. They probably didn't know it was happening. It was like, what is this? What is this? I just turned up and I didn't know. I'm the same. I turned up and played. We were all women. There was no issue. There was no bloke in a skirt. So I had no issue. I had nothing to say. But I do think if somebody said to me, there's a man, there's a woman on the other team used to be a man, I'd be like, well, I'm not playing then, because I'm standing for women's sport. He should go join a man's team. And I get it. There's not enough men playing roller derby. Create a mixed team. Do you know what? Create a man's team. It might take you 10 years, like it took women to create teams. It took the disabilities. It took them years and years and years to create categories. Then they were involved. And the transgender community of this generation should be doing it for the next one in 10 years. But that's not what they want. They want it now. These men want to play sport now. That massive bloke in New Zealand, he wanted to be weightlifting champion of the world now. He didn't want to fight for the new men in 10 years who want to get in. He didn't want to create a category for them. He wanted to win now. So he joined the women. That's what they're doing. They're not prepared to wait. They want it now. Whereas all those women have struggled and fought. Maybe not us specifically. The suffragettes, our grandmothers, great grandmothers. The shit they went through is all falling by the wayside now. They were turning in their graves now. Guarantee you. Absolutely disgusted with what
I used to play AFL football until I was 12 years old. I used to train with the boys. And as soon as I turned 13, I couldn't play anymore. And the first time I saw a women's AFL team play at a university, probably 20 something years ago now, I sat in my car watching them in the rain and bawled my eyes out because I wished it was me. So, you know, a lot of us horrible TERFs are women who were pretty good at sport who weren't allowed to play because of our sex. No, and now we're finally allowed to play. And men are like, no, you can't have that. You can't. And it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart.
Look, the irony of it is roller derby was created for women, by women, for women, by women, all women, no men involved. And now look at it, women handing it over to men, saying it's not even. It's WFDA is Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association. They're going to have to change that now because it's not women's flat. It's humans. It's humans. Yes. So I just don't know where the sport's going, and I don't support it, and I don't support any sport that allows men.
It will bite them on the ass. It will come back and haunt them because there'll be injuries. And also, they'll have to change their name, and, you know, they'll never, ever, ever be able to meet the demands of the trans and non-binaries. So it will eventually bite them on the ass.
You're right. And they're never happy. Once they get one thing, they'll fight for something else. It's absolutely crazy. They've got their own flag now. It's just, I mean, the LGBT community, a lot of them are disavowing them now. In fact, the LGBTQ, they don't want it. I know lots of lesbians and that just absolutely don't want a man saying he's a lesbian and you need to have sex with me. You need to like me. That is the worst thing about all of this. That the pressure men putting on women, calling themselves lesbians. That's a whole new issue. I don't want to get into that because it'll just get more angry, to be honest. But yeah, that was me. That's my 2021 up until today. That's me in a nutshell.
Just harrowing. I'm really sorry that you've gone through it. Thank you for coming on and telling the story, though.
Thank you.
Hopefully it'll be an eye-opener for some people.
Yeah, I hope so.
Keep talking about it. It helps. It really helps us. It helps everyone out there.
Yes, and keep doing these things, girls, and keep inviting loads of people on, sharing it. Absolutely. I love all this. And I like getting people who have no idea what's going on involved. And my kids are going to watch this. Maybe not today, but they are going to watch all these TERF videos. I mean, TERF. I'm glad that we are taking that on as a term of empowerment now. Turfinator, yeah. let's get rid of them all, yeah. But yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Thank you so much. I know I've babbled on and I've probably completely taken over, but thank you so much for giving me this open platform for just babbling. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you in Brisbane for International Women's Day next year.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Great.
Totally. And I'll bring my friends.
Awesome.
Promise.
All right,
Cheers,
Kaz.
girls. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. See you then.
Thank you.
If you can click leave.
Oh, I have to go, do I? I have to go. I do apologise. I will leave. Right. I'm getting kicked out.
Stay.
Wow, what a story.
We have great guests. Like, they're so cool. It is. What a harrowing story.
Yeah.
Like, it beggars belief. It's just ridiculous.
Listening to Kaz, I thought of Kathleen Stock. What she went through. You know, it's not sports related, but you know, I can 100% appreciate the mental health impact that this has on women, and that is just horrific that Kaz is now having to take antidepressants to deal with this. Like,
it's not surprising though. Like, I've studied a bit of psychology, and I'm actually still studying a bit of psychology, and I've also had experience with online trolls, and it's a proven fact that being stalked and harassed and defamed online has the same physiological effect as if it was happening in person.
Yeah.
So it's not any different if someone is standing next to you saying and doing those things to if you're reading it in your screen. The only difference is you can turn your screen down. But then the added problem of that is that you might jump off social media, but you don't know what's being said about you. At least if somebody's in the room, you know what's being said. But if you step away from social media because someone's being abusive or defamatory, they're left to just say whatever they like. And that's where the whole mental health thing clicks over, when it's online stuff that makes it just as harrowing as if it was in person.
Shocking. Speaking of online stalkers, how's your interactions with Danny lately?
Oh, look, as I suspected, because I thought he was only trying to get my attention to have a coffee, because he wanted to sign me, wanted to serve me with a writ or IBO or something like that, because he's very litigious. When I said, oh, look, I've broke my arm and I can't drive and I can't go anywhere, so it'll have to be on Zoom or on phone, he lost interest. So I don't, but to me, it just proves that he's just hanging around all my Facebook, my Twitter and all the other TERFs in waiting for one of us to screw up and do something that he might be able to drag us to a tribunal for.
Yeah.
This guy hasn't even been, a woman, pretending to be a woman for 2 years, and already he's got all of those AGP behaviors of grifting money by suing and all that stuff, and
he's going after Victoria Police again, alleging that they downloaded some of his personal videos and photos from his phone and shared them around WhatsApp, so probably looking for more money. You're right. The name Jessica Yaniv comes to mind.
Yeah, well, everyone keeps forgetting because lately's been in the news for all the right reasons. Oh, he's so stunning and brave. Oh, he's got a girlfriend. Oh, he's wearing double D earrings. Oh, he's gone back to his old team, and what a wonderful bastion of inclusivity he is. But the reality is he is a stalker, a domestic violence perp. He's had addiction issues. It's only a matter of time before the police will be involved, not just because he sues them. So that's going to be interesting and awkward for him when that happens. And, I don't know, maybe he won't even get charged because he might sue them for looking at him. Who knows? But, leopards don't change their spots overnight. And this guy's shown absolutely no remorse for what he's done to these women. And his behaviour, even that I've observed from afar, is that he is continuing to be a nuisance and a threat to women.
Yeah.
And he'll probably sue me for saying it.
We'll see. We have to finish up soon. So I just wanted to bring up one more thing that's just happened yesterday. It's come to light, the Coalition for Biological Reality. There's a couple of women in Tasmania who are members, and they put in a hell of a lot of work trying to get this forum up and running. And that because of COVID, we've had to postpone it. So it'll probably be February or March. Hopefully, because now there's a non-binary woman, I think her name now is Jax Fox. It used to be Jax Ewan, and she's a Hobart City Council councillor. And she's putting a motion forth on Monday's meeting to ban us from using the hall.
Why?
Just flies in the face of freedom of assembly, freedom of thought, freedom of speech. It really does feel like living under some kind of totalitarian regime where, you know, like what happened to Kaz. You can't even just comment on facts without the whole world falling down on you. Be interesting.
So what are her grounds? What are her grounds for objecting to you hiring the hall from council?
I haven't read it properly. I apologise, but it was something along the lines of it goes against Hobart's gender diverse inclusivity policy or something like that.
Is that the same council that said women had no right to single sex like lesbian entertainment, not lesbian event? Yeah.
Well, that was state-based, that decision. It was because it went against Tasmanian anti-discrimination legislation, according to their Human Rights Commissioner or whoever it is.
I can't believe that. I thought sex was a protected characteristic and sexuality was a protected characteristic. So why does gender identity override those two?
Yeah, that's right.
Why can't anyone tell us that?
And you know, that was the whole purpose of the forum that we're planning. It's called Gender Identity in Law. So it was going to be looking at, you know, how these things impact on other human rights and other vulnerable groups. And
that's a good argument. I think that's a great argument. You know, why is this particular belief system? It's not even a tangible thing. Why does, you know, gender identity, whatever that is, override tangible concepts like sexuality and sex?
Yeah.
Why?
That's it.
That's a good argument. Throw that back in their faces. But yeah, this Jax person is in the Mercury every so often, ranting and raving nonsensical word salad, because she seems to perceive any minor disagreement with her ideology as an attack, even when it isn't. Yeah, and she's got this little band of vocal Greens politicians behind her.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a dangerous individual as far as I'm concerned, because if someone is you know, litigating or trying to block anyone who has a mildly different view to them, they're a dangerous individual.
How she got on council just blows my mind.
Well, maybe she won't this time. And what I've noticed is that there is, you know, people are sick to death. Well, they voted, you know, non-binary and trans people into positions of power because they thought, oh, well, it's about that, you know, let's give them a go. And oh yeah, we haven't had a trans person in this position before, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, a lot of these people get elected to these positions and then they don't fulfill the role that the position requires. All they're about is furthering their own agenda. And I think people are beginning to wake up to that. Just from observation, I think people are beginning to wake up to the fact that someone sticks a dress on doesn't necessarily make them the best person for a job, or the fact that they are they, them. However, we have agencies such as ACON promoting organisations to give these roles to these people, whether they have the skills or not. The main requirement of their job is their weird gender identity, as opposed to any other people that wouldn't normally get a job like that, like someone with a disability or from a different culture or whatever, they're all forgotten about. And now ACON is pushing organisations and councils and people like that for gender identity above all other skills. It's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we better wrap it up there. So good to see you, Ange.
Yeah, thank you. I hope my arms will be better next week. It's a bit sore today. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and yeah.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you.